Hello, this is Kyoke here with an Extreme Trial 5 guide for Mount Ordeals. This is a day 1 guide, so strategies may evolve over time, but in case you're here to prog this weekend, I got you covered. To start things off, parties should split into standard light parties as well as standard clock positions. You can also assign dash spread positions, but I think it's a little unnecessary since it should just be based off your light party with supports towards the center and DPS being on the outside. There's a lot of things happening in this fight, but I don't want to take all day, so I'm going to give you just what I think is the most important. So to start things off, just a standard raid wide into the main gimmick of the fight, the spinning wheels, aka Ordeal of Purgation. Similar to the normal trial, a line comes from the boss and ends up activating one of the outer shapes. However, in Extreme, there are two possible shapes on the outside, a triangle which cleaves a cone and a rectangle which cleaves the half of the arena that the rectangle is on. Additionally, up to 2 different rings can spin, causing the line to potentially move left or right. The patterns get progressively more difficult as the fight goes on, but luckily if one person in your party feels confident, the entire party can just follow them as there are no individual mechanics happening during this phase. Pattern 1 will be a single line ending on a triangle or a rectangle. Nothing special about it, just make sure to follow the line along with all of its spinning rings to see what it ends on and dodge accordingly. The second pattern introduces a second line. Luckily, this will always end on 2 squares. Party can always stack opposite of the 2 lines coming out of the boss and they should be safe. That ends the first spinny wheel phase. You get a moderate single target tank buster into Arch Inferno. This is a light party mechanic where group 1 should take the north safe spot and group 2 should take the south safe spot. During this mechanic, there will be 3 possibilities that your light party will have to solve. A stack, which everyone can just stack on, 4 orange markers on people's heads. This is a spread, so make sure your light party is spread out properly, and enumerations. This will have 2 rings per light party, and each ring will need to have 2 members inside of it. While you're solving these mechanics, your group will be moving in a circle to dodge orange explosions happening around you, as well as the occasional rectangle beam. The boss picks 2 light party mechanics out of the 3 possibilities, and immediately after the second light party mechanic resolves, the boss begins casting Radial Flagration. This is a conal protein that each member must be spread out to bait in their clock positions. You should be fine as long as you are on your line. Another raid wide and we get our second spinning wheel phase. The first pattern will be all triangles. However, there will be 2 lines coming from the boss forming a V. Safe area will always be along the wall inside of the V. However, sometimes 2 triangles that are next to each other will activate, in which the safe area will be along the wall between them. The second pattern will be all rectangles. There will be 1 slice of the arena that is safe for this. You'll have to figure out the rotation to determine which slice is safe. This ends phase 2 of the spinning wheels and you go into the add phase. Honestly, this is a pretty easy add phase with a couple of things to note. 1. Focus down the greater flame scent first. 2. If an ad is locking onto you with a purple tether, point it away from the party. The ad will shoot a conal cleave in the direction of the tether. After the conal tethers, there will be tank buster tethers. Each tank should pick up a tank buster tether and spread away from the party, applying some mitigation along the way. After that, the mechanics repeat until either you kill all the ads or the power gauge reaches 100, which will cause a wipe. I would highly recommend that groups save their 2-minute buffs and pots until after the ads phase, unless you're struggling to beat the ad's DPS check. Next mechanic is Flame Spire Brand. To make things really simple, this is the order that this happens. First, go to your clock spread position. Next, look at the spinning arrow. If the arrow is pointing at you, dodge clockwise for your nearest safe spot. Then, you have the purple triangle debuff along with the circle. Dodge clockwise into the nearest safe spot. If you have the stack marker debuff or only the circle debuff, you'll be dodging inwards towards the center of the arena. And then at the very end, you will go back to your clock spot position for a final spread. Just don't be too far out or you will get clipped by the edge AoEs. In this particular example, DPS players were in for the stack and supports should have been out. However, it's still possible to survive this if not every out player goes out. Almost immediately after the boss casts Inferno. Unlike the other Infernos, this isn't a raid wide, this is another spread. So be on your clock spread line away from others. After this, you can go inwards for heals, but don't leave your line yet because you're going to be baiting proteins along with an in or out dodge. If the boss casts Scalding Ring, be in for your protein baits. If it is Scalding Signal, be out for your protein baits. Make sure you're still on your line for your protein baits. The boss will then face a random cardinal or intercardinal and cast Sweeping Immolation. This just means whichever half he's facing will be unsafe, and the party will then have to resolve either a stack or a spread. The way you can tell is based on the symbol on the boss's back. There's one giant star that is a party stack. If there is 4 smaller stars on his back, that will be a party spread. In case of a spread, go to your dash spread spots and don't be on the lines because there will be dashes happening on those lines, assuming that they were baited properly. Next is 2 conal tank busters. Tanks, make sure you're spread out and mitt properly. And you're going straight into the 3rd spinning wheel phase. First pattern is just a standard triangle or rectangle. However, the second pattern is where things get difficult. You will get a rectangle and a triangle, meaning that a small sliver of the arena will be safe. My recommendation for this is first figure out which half will be safe based on the rectangle that gets activated. The safe spot will be on the edge of the rectangle's safe square, and you can determine which one it is based on the triangle that gets activated. Your party is going to be hit by both shapes. Tanks should be ready to tank LB3. Luckily, if you survive this, that's as hard as the spinning wheels are going to get, because you're going into the next and final new mechanic of the fight, everyone's favorite mechanic, Limit Cut. Each player will be assigned 1 through 8, but this time the boss will also spawn 2 tethers. These tethers are not tank busters, but rather they apply a stacking purple debuff that counts up. When the number hits 5, the player will die. Additionally, having the purple debuff on while you get hit by your limit cut cone will also kill you. This is how Day 1 Party Finder does this. First, before the limit cuts start happening, this is the setup. Odds bait west, evens bait east. So 1 and 2 get in their positions, but also players 7 and 8 step forward to grab the tethers. North will be the odd safe spot, and south will be the even safe spot. After 1 gets hit, they move to their odd safe spot to take the tether from number 7. And similarly, when 2 gets hit, they move clockwise to take the tether from number 8. Similarly to normal limit cut, after 1 gets hit, 3 then moves in to prepare for their own bait. The only thing you have to keep in mind is that after you take the hit, you grab the tether from your safe spot. If you forget this, the person with the tether will gain 5 stacks and die. It's really just normal limit cut, except you grab a tether after you soak a hit. Also, numbers 7 and 8 just have to remember to be inward so they can grab the tethers first. If anyone else grabs the tether, their debuff will probably not fall off in time when it's their turn to take the hit and they will die. Probably the biggest danger in this mechanic is actually the size of the cones. These cones are bigger than the P6S cones, and a lot of people have been clipped because they either move too early or move too late. Just make sure you're on your safe line and be patient until it's your turn to move in or out. The rest of the fight is just repeat mechanics, fit your Inferno in clock positions, along with a Scalding Ring or Scalding Signal plus dashes. And the party resolves another stack or spread depending on the symbols on the back of the boss. I believe the Scalding Ring and Scalding Signal will be opposite of the first one you did, as well as the party stack or party spread will also be the opposite pattern. Then you'll get 2 Conal Tank Busters again, and honestly, I'm not really sure what happens after that since all my kills have happened prior to this. TBH, just pot and skip limit cut entirely. Alright, that's my guide. Hope you guys found it somewhat useful, and good luck out there, gamers. I believe in you.